Ah.
Hello ladies and gents, welcome back to Chaos TV's live coverage of the EOS Challenger Series number 10. I'm Edis joined by Pulse, and we have game number 1 out of a potential 3 here between X and Nexus and Smart People. You casted Smart People yesterday, Pulse. I know your memory is horrific, but are there any standout players from these two teams that you think we should be looking out for?
Well, definitely from X and Nexus, they perform really well as a team, and well, because Smart People got into this stage, I'm going to infer they're pretty good. Even though I was casting the game, I honestly I've forgotten what happened, but they're pretty good. And I've just been messaged by Overpower, and apparently they have some lag issues.
Oh, that's never a good thing. So, obviously, with us being in the spectator mode, we are 3 minutes behind the action, so could very well be some issues up on the horizon. Do by all means, Pulse, jump in if you get any more information on what's happening with the lag issues if they've ceased to be. But having a quick look at how things are looking out here, Jerome has been caught out of position from Zaxxas, will be pulling himself back and recalling as he took nearly half of his HP in damage. In fact, he's cancelled that recall, so he's going to be staying and realising that the minions are coming up. He doesn't want to lose out on any of that juicy XP or gold, so he's actually chugged through a health potion already.
Yeah, so I've just had some more information come in from Overpower, and apparently there's some problems with the Riot servers, and Overpower had some issues with it. So a pause has come in some point in the future, and we'll see what we can do about that. So I'll talk to my producer, and we'll see what we can do about that. But for now, we'll carry on casting until our pause hits, and then we'll sort it when we reach that bridge, I guess. So, right, for now, both the jungles going for a fairly standard start. Nas is going with a more sustained jungle route, going for those wolves after his blue buff, because he's not going to be looking actively for those ganks. So, in fact, he's just going to farm out his jungle and make sure he doesn't lose any time, and just gets to that stage where he's Nasus.
Yeah, very much just the standard opening from both teams. You don't have any lane switch-ups coming about here. Both duo lanes find themselves at bottom. A bit of a ward war going on. And Rydal and Sarex come out and top that, but they have burst out the vision ward. And there we go. Voila. The pause comes in.
Indeed. So we'll see if we can try and get this sorted. And it looks like both of these teams have lag, so I don't know if it's worth just going to a quick break until we can sort this out, because I feel this is going to be, well, at least here for the next 3 minutes.
Yeah, if they've already notified you in the past, then we know we've got plenty more pause in the future. So I'm not sure how you want to do this, Bas. You want us just to keep talking, or should we cut to a break, or what's happening?
Alright.
Right, so Bas just informed us, so we're going to go cut to a very quick commercial break, but we are still going to be here. If the action kicks back off again, we will jump right back into the saddle. So we'll see you very shortly, guys. Hey guys, welcome back to Chaos TV's live coverage. Obviously, as you can see, the pause is still very much here. Both teams are talking to both Pulse and Bass right now, so we're trying to come to some kind of an agreement, some kind of a resolve. But while we wait, we're just going to keep talking here about the game, and maybe if it lasts for a lot longer, we'll take some questions from the chat and such. But we just want to try and keep you guys in the loop rather than listening to music. So, Pulse, have you had any updates so far from either Smart People or X and X's? Because I believe both teams are complaining about the lag issues.
Yeah, and so far there's not been too much of an update. I've messaged Overpower and he said they're playing, but they still have the lag. And I'm also speaking to some teams we had earlier. I'm specifically talking to Reason to see if they had lag as well, so we can get multiple sources.
They have actually unpaused it here, Pulse, like right now, so we can just jump back into the game. I'm going to skip back to live, of course, with the pause bugs that you get in that. And yeah, this is kind of unfortunate, because we never like to see a game being riddled with, you know, problems with lag. This has happened a few times in the past to us, actually, Pulse. We've even had, you know, occurrences where spectator mode's been turned off just before a game was due to start. So it's just been one of those kind of roads that happens in League of Legends casting, unfortunately.
Yes, so both of these teams are suffering from lag, but I was speaking to Reason, they said it wasn't completely unplayable, so they are going to be carrying on, and we'll get to the end of this game at least. So action coming up at the top lane, Lolstead looking for this gank as well, Elastic Slingshot comes in, Jerome's still chasing after Zaxxas, juking up into the north side of that bush, but the ward coming down, making sure he keeps with that vision. Lolstead picks up a kill in return, Nasa's heading up to the top lane, but not going to be able to pin down either of these tanky bruisers.
Yeah, and I have to feel as well that psychologically, if you are lagging and your team starts to go behind, that could be where you start to press the self-destruct button, because you're going to start getting down on yourself, going to start getting down on the fact that the servers seemingly are just not working in your favour. Top lane, Artatros is putting a fair amount of damage on Zac, but he's going to be just fine underneath his tower. And this bot lane, surprise, surprise, that Caitlyn is pushing the tower. It's exactly what you pick Caitlyn for in these early stages, and Nami just kind of amplifies all of Caitlyn's prowess in lane.
Yeah, what they do have though is Ezreal and Sona, so they have decent poke and decent sustain, but and also in an all-in scenario as well, they'll be in better shape, but they really need to get to that level 6 sort of area before they can make those initiations happen, because they don't have any CC before that comes in. So essentially the bot lane from Vander and Caliber can just back on off. 90 caliber net comes out and the Aqua Prison, and then they're just away safely. So at least until the level 6 sort of zone for the bot lane, they're going to keep up the pressure, and that's really Caitlyn and Nami's time to shine in that bot.
Yeah, for sure. And like we mentioned earlier, guys, because of the pauses, we haven't really shone a lot of light on this, but Vanderneem, of course, is subbing in for Limits of Reversal. So, again, I'm very interested to see how that synergy works at the bot lane. Of course, they're not just going to pull a random player and they've never played with before, but Limits of Reversal yesterday, Pulse, just had great showings on Zyra. His Stranglethorns in particular were always on point. It's something that we actually mentioned a couple of times yesterday. So without having that big playmaker on your team, I'm very curious to see how it's going to work out for them.
Yeah, we'll see how Vanders shows up, but the gank coming in right now from Nasus from the side. The Wither lands onto Vander, but not enough damage coming in from Samux and Rydell, and it was a good read coming in from Nexus, thinking, well, they're being a bit too aggressive, and looks like some people might be shaping up for a gank, even though they didn't have that ordered. So well played by X and Nexus, just reading that situation perfectly.
Yeah, and remember that Nasa's one of the big things he brings to the table as well is the Fury of the Sands, his ultimate. So once he hits level 6, definitely watch out for a Smart People potential Drake in the near future. He is just getting around to level 5. In the meanwhile, Zac is camping in the mid, trying to make a play happen. Overpower doesn't have his shockwave just yet. It is very nearly 6. There we go, just things up. So maybe going to see some action here in the mid lane, Pulse. But Nas is making his way. Elastic Slingshot has been charged, and that's what we're talking about with the ball delivery system, forcing out the flash instantly from Exeter. Did not want to be caught in that one.
Yeah, Exeter actually flashing out and making sure that the big ultimate is currently down, so the Stranglethorns are still out. Receiving some more messages from the players saying it's completely unplayable for some of them, so we might well have another pause about a couple minutes into the future, but we'll come against, we'll we'll reach that bridge when we come through it once again, and we'll see what we can do about it. But meanwhile, at top lane, we've got the Jace versus Lee's matchup, and both of them are very strong kind of bully lanes. And currently, Jace is winning out, which is, I wouldn't say it's expected, but because both of those lanes is essentially a skill matchup. Meanwhile, bot lane, though, the Acrorism lands, and we were saying before, Messers, I'm not sure if Vander can fill the boots of Limits of Reversal, but at the moment, it seems like he definitely is.
Well, that's just Nami in a nutshell. She is a playmaker. The Aqua Prism will just set up plays from out of nowhere. And once she hits level 6, of course, you're going to have people surfing across the tidal wave. So definitely one to watch out for. However, Samox is playing a champion that's very good at getting himself away from Nami and potential threats. He's got the E when he can just flash across with the arcane shift. Elastic Slingshot was charged up there from LOL's Dead, but he is going to be pulling back. Didn't see any potential plays happening at the bot.
Yep, Zyra picking up the blue buff as well, moving back into the mid lane. And once again, bot just carrying on pushing. 58 CS currently to 46. I mean, Ezreal will pick up something. There's about maybe just over 2 waves there for him to get his teeth into. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Nasa's looking for another gank onto Overpower, but a little too far to the north means that he can't look for that gank, and also the wars in the river as well. LOL's Dead also looking for this counter gank now, because Aratos is still in this mid lane. Extra gets locked up with the Elastic Slingshot into Let's Bounce as well. Dragonboard comes down, picking up the kill immediately. 2 versus 1 now. Nasus has popped the Vero de Sands though. He might be able to reclaim a kill. Doesn't quite land the Wither just yet. And he's just wailing away. Doesn't have the red buff for the slow. 1 more auto attack, or even 2 with the charged up siphoning strike as well. Would just finish this one off. But Jerome from the top lane comes in with a fantastic shock blast for the acceleration gate, picking that kill up.
Yeah, suddenly a Jace appeared, and it was a free kill. So nicely done there. Nasus was putting down a lot of pressure and a lot of harassment, just running around in circles with his Fury of the Sands, and knowing that Zac simply has to fill in the cracks in mid. This is going to allow Nasus to go ahead and try and steal away this blue buff. Flashing up there is Zac, so he must have caught a shock blast and acceleration gate combo. Didn't quite catch that one, but Artratos did take down the blue, so not just to kill, but also managing to steal away that all-important blue buff. So Orianna is not going to have that available to her.
Yeah, and there's more complaints of lag, but because both the teams aren't both complaining about it, and they are still carrying on, then we'll probably just complete this game out. So in the top lane, Jerome is still 75 CS to 59, and he's also 2-1, so picking up the kills as well. The fact that he's able to essentially outpush Elise is really important, because it means that he can roam, and then Zaxxas just has to stay there to keep up on that farm. He's actually evening it out, but those 2 extra kills will mean in those trade scenarios that Jace is still going to win in that situation. Meanwhile, in that bot lane, Vander and Caleb are still pushing up to that tower. They have hit level 6 though, so we're really looking to see if Rydal can place down the crescendo and make some opportunities open up for his AD carry of Samox. However, though, they have great counter-initiate from Vander with the Tyler Wave, and also from Caliber with the 90 caliber net.
Yeah, that's very true. And just going back to the lag issues, I think, it's a case that both teams have to agree for a remake if it comes to that. You just can't have one team saying, this lag is unplayable, and expect the other team to say, okay, that's fair enough. Both teams are going to have to come to an agreement here, and then a judgment call will be made. But seemingly, Pulse, as you said, they're not going to be pausing. They're just going to, be saying, oh, we've got terrible lag, guys, but we're going to persevere, get our heads down, and just finish this game out. Be interesting to see what happens after this game, though, if they're going to wait a little while or potentially try and postpone the match.
Yeah, for sure, and again, we'll do what we can when we get there. But in the mid lane, so currently 100 farm to 90, and both of these mid lanes are exceptional farmers. Zyra probably slightly better than Orianna, but Orianna 100 farm at 10 minutes, and you can't really argue with the results. Rydal down in the bot lane, he is kind of vying for this crescendo to happen, or at least some sort of initiate, trying to allow Samox to farm this one out. Meanwhile, LOL's Dead looking for the gank, just shifting his way through those brushes. However, the ward in that bush has probably just been pointed out on their comms, and means that Zac can't actually look for this gank to happen.
Yeah, and it's also the case, you're talking about mid, and I was going to say, Orianna hasn't got the blue buff, but neither does Zyra. So they're pretty much in an equal position. Tidal Wave comes down in the bot lane, though. That's going to be Crescendo instantly, and the True Shot Barrage as well. Lolstead's taking a lot of damage from that tower. Here comes Nasus from the side. He's popping off the Fury of the Sounds. One player goes down, now chasing after Zac, who does have the passive up and Elastic Slingshotting away. So this is going to be a dangerous position for them to try and pick up the kill, but instead, they will turn their attention to Vandernoop. and pick up the kill on Nami. So nice little counter gank coming in there from Artratos and Smart People.
Yeah, Atratos was just right on the money there with Fury of the Sands and actually just carrying on running. He knew that Zac was charging up the Elastic Slingshot, so instead of like hitting him while he was charging up and then potentially sowing him when he landed again, he just carried on running forward. And he had the movement speed from Ghost, which meant he could just follow up as soon as he landed again. So very well played from Nasus and the rest of his team, picking up another kill. Currently 3 and 4, and the Drake as well, putting him in a pretty solid position. And you really have to look at the scaling right now of both of these teams. And there's great initiation, as we've said, from X and X's. Their damage potential and the ability to get in the fight on their own terms is very strong with the ball delivery system. But on the flip side, you've also got the Nasus, and depending on how Ezreal builds as well, currently it looks, well, it looks like he's going for a blue build, or kind of like a pseudo-blue build, but we'll see how this turns out, because they actually have very good scaling with that Nasus and Zyra.
Yeah, that's very, very true. But as I said in Champion Select, if Ezreal does go, if Samax does go for that full blue build, Ezreal, he will be falling off in the late game, whereas Caitlyn will be doing significantly higher damage. But as you said, it's still early days. Potentially could go in for a Bloodthirster. We've seen the likes of Double Lift using that a lot. So it's still very much up in the air. How is it looking at bot lane though? Slight CS lead at the moment to Caitlyn, but she has fallen. And remember that Ezreal has not only the assist over the kill, but also that Drake. So it's very, very even at the bot lane.
Yeah, and it looks like it might be Smart People's time to shine in the mid game, because if you get a blue build Ezreal, he's good in that mid game, kind of like the 20 to 30 to 40 minute mark before he scales off, as you mentioned, metas, because Caliber will start to vamp up in damage. And also Nasus will start scaling up, along with the AP carry of Zyra, and then Jace is also good in that sort of place. However, when you get into the late game again, you've also got the ball delivery system, and Caliber gets stronger, so really, we're looking for the mid-game for Smart People to actually make something happen, and they do have the tools to do so. Drake has gone down, so they have that slight advantage. So really, it's just a matter of making sure they play the composition right, and making sure the opportunities open up, or they make the opportunities for themselves instead of waiting for them to happen.
Yeah, very true. And speaking of opportunities, Nasus trying to pick one out of nowhere. Crescendo has landed, and the True Shot Rise, and it's going to be Nami going 6 foot under. And that's going to be another kill on the cards here to Samux. So nice stuff at bot lane. Really focusing this on Artratos, and why not? Knowing that it's a substitute in, potentially the communication is not there. They've picked up the Drake on the last gank. This time they're going to be looking to push this bot tower down. And Zac is actually in the mid lane. They are going to go for this return kill here. Exeter is very low. Let's Bounce and Shockwave combination will be finished off from that last auto attack. So 1 for 1 overall. But this bot tower has fallen.
Yep, we've got Zrom now coming in as well, but Lol's there charging up the Elastic Slingshot, flash over the wall. He knew what was coming to him. 3-man gank in that mid lane. He's going to get himself out of dodge, and it's kind of interesting, matters. We were both saying during, well, as the game was setting up, that we felt that Smart People's composition doesn't really have like a way to go. Like, they don't have, you know, like an AoE composition. But hold that for a second, because Aratos in that mid lane aggressing onto Zac, pops him down into his Blobblitz passive. Zrom knocking Zax's back into closer to his turret. Samax now arriving, doesn't quite connect the auto attack before he gets out with Repel. Overpal now finds himself caught by Zrom as well. Samax there to meet him as he lands, and the Vander just left to try and defend his turret by himself. 3 for 0. Another big play coming out from from the hands of Smart People.
Yeah, and just seemingly out of nowhere, you know, Nasus goes in, and nice little play from Ezreal from the side. So it was looking like X and Nexus were going to try and just pick down a kill and potentially a tower, and suddenly, in the blink of an eye, it goes the complete opposite way. But Kelliver, realizing that the majority of Smart People are in mid, has just equaled the odds at bot lane and takes into a 2-for-1 tower trade. So still, the gold advantage, you've got to say here, Pulse, is in the hands of Smart People, but it's still very much early days in this matchup.
Yeah, so to finish my point earlier, is that they don't really have a composition. It's not like an AoE composition, it's not like a poke composition, but what they do have is a decent team fight, and also decent poke as well, from Jace and from Ezreal, and also from Zyra to some extent. She's good at keeping people away from her team, like a kind of keep-away composition. So what they do have is also the picking potential, and they're kind of just playing this well in their own rights. Like, they haven't really hit a team fight yet, or really been down to the ganks and small skirmishes. And their team is really well suited to that because they can choose when to initiate. Because, as I said, they have this strong keep away composition. And with Lol's dead jumping over the wall with Elastic Slingshot, they might look to reclaim the kill. Zax is jumping in with the repel, revealing him when he's in the brush as well. Zax is following up, and Shutdown comes out, picking up another kill. And this might be exactly what a Nexus needs to kind of stymie this push and general flow from X-Giant smart people.
Yeah, with Zaxxas picking up that shutdown as well, looking very good, but Nasus from the side, and the repel has already been used. So this is looking like a very dead spider, but those constant slows and the elastic slingshot from Zac, huge play from Lol's dead, but that wither has been used. Here comes the repel. In the meantime, can Elise somehow, someway survive? No, she can't. Big smack upon the face. Meanwhile, actually, at bot lane, you see Nami getting a shutdown of her own onto Israel. So it is just end-to-end stuff. Lol's dead is still in a precarious position, but is going to manage to just elastic clean shot away.
Yeah, back-to-back action with more down the bot lane. Crescendo lands onto Vanda. Exeter coming around the corner as well, looking to connect a good grasping wrist. Lands onto Vanda, into with a Stranglethorns, nuking him down in the blink of an eye. Kelleher looking to follow up though, doesn't have the vision, but Overpower from the north lands the shockwave straight into the ace in the hole. Lands the command attack as well. Flash comes in from Rydal, strong from the side as well. Overpower either needs to commit with the kill onto Sona or just get out of here, fight or flight. Chooses to run. Kelleher there as well, connects the Shock Blast. Needs one more auto attack with that Mercury, with the Mercury cannon form, and actually lands over the Shock Blast with the acceleration gate.
Really nice mechanics there from Overpower to survive as long as he did, but acceleration gate, shock blast just oh so strong, and Rydal did actually get away there. Meanwhile, just saw that Zac was flashing up red, getting smacked in the face again from Artratos on Nasus. This top tower is very, very low, so he's just going to pop in here, tank this one up without any problem, smashing it with the Siphoning Strike, which he's already got a fair amount of stacks on here, and pulls himself away. So, as we said earlier, Pulse, this is just end-to-end action. Nearly 18.5 minutes through with 18 kills. That pretty much tells the tale. Drake has been started, though.
Yeah, essentially a kill a minute, and kind of just putting some down onto Samick, just making them aware that he's over the wall, so that they can't really fully commit to this dragon. And the rest of the team is kind of trickling in, and Lol's dead on the front lines as well, but kind of going to go ahead and recall, so probably just going to keep them back as long as possible, just to allow Caitlyn to pick up some items, and I think both of them just going to back off. So 18 minutes into the game, Dragon is up. This will probably be the next point of contention, and it's really just a matter of who really wants to instigate the fight. And both of these teams are very strong in those team fight scenarios. We've said already multiple times that X and Nexus have a very good team composition for those team fights, and looks like smart people are going to be moving on to the Drake team fight, surely going to erupt.
Yeah, it's looking likely, but actually, strangely enough, they're waiting until the Drake's gone down to engage. Here we go, Tidal Wave comes in, and the Let's Bounce as well. Waiting for that perfect time to Shockwave, and it lands on 4. That is huge colossal damage, but it's not enough to pick anybody up, and instantly Stranglethorns will keep them in check. Ace Null coming out, barrier has been popped out from Samux there. So definitely a case of damage limitation, and even though that shockwave was beautifully placed, only one player falls, and it was for X and Nexus, and they didn't get the Drake.
Yeah, that was a near perfect shock wave coming in, and also with the Acro Present landing on 3. That was what you expected to be a perfect team fight from X and Nexus, but they just couldn't follow up. The disengage came in from smart people, and this is what we were saying before, Messers. If they do want to fight, they can just get out of dodge almost immediately. They don't have to stick around. That's exactly what they did there, meaning that the X and X's couldn't clean up with so many of those players being on such low HP. So as a result, one kill goes down, and the Drake, and smart people come out ahead.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous composition. As we're talking, Jace actually picks up a free kill on Oriana. Judging from the positioning, it looks as though that was a disconnect, and the GG comes out from Overpower, so it's a bit of a head scratcher. Are they rage quitting, or what is happening here?
It looked like it. I mean, it's 20 minutes, Renovate comes in, GG called by Overpower, and the game is going to end, so I guess it was just after that team fight not going well. I mean, honestly, nothing that lag would have created, in my opinion. Like, I didn't see anything that was, like, out of place. In fact, the ultimates were in the right place, but I guess they just felt that they couldn't win it.
This is what I was saying earlier on, that psychologically, if your team starts to go behind, It's not a case of saying, oh, we can get our way back into this, lads. You know, we've played a bit poorly, but we know we can get back in. It's now suddenly that the entire Riot servers and the lag and everything else is against you as well. So potentially for X and Nexus there, they just let their heads go down a bit too much. That team fight was very close. You know, they did land the ultimates where they needed to. The problem is they just didn't have enough damage. But if you could have fast forwarded 5-10 minutes and turtled out, that definitely could have been the complete opposite. So interesting. Have you got any notification from the players if they're making game 2, or are we calling it quits?
Not at all. I haven't heard anything from either of these teams. In fact, I'm going to message one of them right now. So far, I'm not entirely sure what just happened. And honestly, Messers, I do feel a lot of League of Legends is psychological.
Yeah.
And as you said, like, if a team feels like they're behind, if spirits are low on TeamSpeak, then they might just throw in the towel. Because as soon as people start feeling that they're behind, or start fighting each other, you know, there's infighting, then they'll just quit. And I think that's, you know, very relevant in solo queue as well. So, anyway, take over just for a second. I'm going to see what's happening, and I should have more information in a second.
Yeah, for sure. Again, I'm thinking back to that game, right? So I am looking at the stream right now. They still had all their inhibs up. They had their inhib towers up. They had their inner towers up. It's very, very common that a team will wait until at least an inhib has gone down before throwing in the towel when they know there is no possible way to win. So I have to just assume here it's purely 100% down to lag. That they feel they cannot compete on a top level, they cannot go toe-to-toe with smart people, and that whatever was going to happen there, they were going to end up losing regardless. That's the only way I can see it happening, Pulse.
Yeah, very possible. But regardless, we will be jumping to a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we will either have more information or jump into the next game. And I have received an invite, so it looks promising.